Given the fact that it is an ODI World Cup here, there's more discourse around the Indian cricket team than there is normally, and that is actually saying something, because the Indian cricket team, being one of the most popularly supported teams or national teams in the world, is one of those entities that always finds itself the subject of intense scrutiny, analysis and criticism of all sorts. Now, going into this year's World Cup, there are of course plenty of worrisome signs that have been there for the Indian cricket team. Their form in ODI cricket admittedly hasn't been great, and even when it has been good, it's not always looked convincing to the point where you feel that the Indian team would be clear-cut favourites going into a tournament where, truth be told, they probably well should be, because not only do they have certified match winners at the squad, it's also being held in India, which means that they have the home team or the home game advantage in this particular case. However, as I said, there are plenty of issues going into the World Cup, and according to one former Pakistani cricketer, one of India's biggest issues has been captaincy. Yeah, we're not even talking about issues wherein you are missing players due to injuries, and we'll get to those in just a bit. But according to Rashid Latif, India's one of their major issues going into this year's ODI World Cup is captaincy and nothing else. In fact, this is what he had to say about the captaincy issue when it comes down to, of course, you'd remember that Indian cricket had a bit of a turmoil period wherein, Kohli ended up leaving captaincy across formats, and then you needed to scramble to find someone new. And Rohit Sharma has more or less been that person until recently in T20s. He's been pretty much usurped by Hardik Pandya. But according to Rashid Latif, Kohli should have remained captain until at least this particular World Cup. In fact, if you go by exactly what he said, this is what it was. He said that if they had allowed Virat Kohli to continue as captain, India would have been 100% ready for the World Cup by this time. Now, that is, to put it politely, an interesting take, because it's not like Kohli hasn't led the team in ICC tournaments before, and his record is, to put it politely, a little bit on the mixed side, because again, the first tournament which he captained properly was the ICC Champions Trophy in 2017. India made it to the finals but could not overcome, of all teams, Pakistan in the final, a team which they had steamrolled in the group stages. Then come the 2019 ODI World Cup, which was also held in England. They made it to the semis, lost out to New Zealand, and then in 2021, probably the nadir of the Kohli era, was when they ended up getting knocked out of the T20 World Cup without even making it to the knockout stages. They were out come the group stages itself. So that was pretty embarrassing, and that is what led to so much change actually happening. In fact, before the World Cup, you'd remember Kohli had said that that would be his last tournament, and it ended exactly how most people expected it would. So would having Kohli be the captain for the 2023 edition of the ICC World Cup have made that much difference? Who really knows? And truth be told, Rashid Latif is very much entitled to his opinion, but let's just say he's not alone in feeling that maybe, just maybe, India could have actually done whatever they could to ensure that Kohli stayed on as captain rather than look to have a transition, which was actually in any ways a forced transition, because even Rohit Sharma was never going to be a long-term option when he was handed the reign across formats. And in fact, it's become even more chaotic since then, because Rohit doesn't seem like he's very much in charge of the T20 side. That looks to be Hardik Pandya's side, but Rohit is still in charge of the Test and ODI sides. But again, as I said, there have been mixed signals in that regard, because whilst form has been good, it hasn't been great. Would a Virat Kohli being in charge have made any difference? Maybe, maybe not. It's something we'll never really know. But what we do know is that India do have issues when it comes to their middle order, specifically the lower middle order. And according to and Rashid Latif himself has picked up on these issues, because during this particular interview which he did with a YouTube channel, he also picked apart the Indian middle order, saying that that is an area of concern. This is exactly what he said. He's saying that from number 4 to 7, they have not allowed any player to settle down due to frequent changes. It's risky because KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer are returning from injuries. And in fact, to add to this, it is worth remembering that even though both of them are returning from injuries, they are going to be coming into international cricket undercooked, because they have not played any cricket prior to that. I'm not counting match simulations at the NCAA. That just does not count. That is merely a fitness test. It's not a match fitness or match practice or match experience kind of a drill. That is something that you'll only get through proper matches, and unfortunately, such has been the situation that, truth be told, it doesn't seem like they're going to be getting any. It's been that touch and go. But the problem has been exacerbated by the fact that the players who India wanted to be doing well in those particular positions just haven't been able to, let's say, grab those opportunities. Ideally, in an ideal world, your number 4 backup to Shreyas Iyer would be Suryakumar Yadav, and your number 5 backup to KL Rahul would be Sanju Samson. Unfortunately, neither Suryakumar Yadav nor Sanju Samson have lit the stage on fire when it comes to ODI cricket. With Sanju, you can say that he's disappointed even in the T20I chances he's gotten, but that's a separate video altogether. Keep your eyes peeled for that. But India have not been able to, let's say, nail down those backups in the absence of KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer, and that is why you are having to take this risk where, as he says, you bringing in these two players who've not really been playing that much cricket, and truth be told, will not be able to play any cricket whatsoever before the Asia Cup. So their first big test is going to be a match against Pakistan, despite having not played any competitive cricket for months. No pressure there whatsoever. And another thing which Rashid spoke about in this particular video, which I found very interesting and thought would be worth sharing, is where he talks about the fact that, Asian teams, despite this being a World Cup that is meant to be held in Asia, might not necessarily start as favourites due to one particular reason. The reason he said is that Asian teams will struggle in the middle overs. Batsmen from England, Australia and New Zealand have turned to both the reverse sweep as well as switch shots, and they have turned that into something very, very lethal. Now again, this is something we have seen a lot of players use, and sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't. One of the instances where it hasn't was, of course, when Alex Carey ended up trying to sweep shot or play reverse sweeps during Australia's tour of India, beg pardon, the Border Gavaskar Trophy earlier this year. Carey was consistently trying to play sweep shots even when it wasn't coming off. And that was one of the few times it hasn't, but in many ways he's right. Also, one of the reasons that he said that Asian teams will struggle in the middle or overs is because during the middle overs now, ODI cricket is played in such a way that you have to ensure that the scoring rate doesn't drop. You still have to be accelerating, even if that comes with the risk of losing wickets. He's saying that England, Australia and New Zealand tend to do that a little bit better than a lot of the Asian teams who prefer playing ODI cricket in the traditional way, which will mean go hard during the power plays, in the middle and of course in the death, but during the middle overs look to take things a little bit steady. In that sense, he believes that the English, New Zealand and Australian batters are much better suited. However, I think the biggest talking point has, of course, been his take on whether or not Virat Kohli would be a much better captain for India than Rohit Sharma during the 2023 World Cup. And it's certainly an interesting take. As I said, very much entitled to an opinion. This is my opinion. And what do you guys or when I said this is my opinion, I mean, you can't really be certain. But according to Rashid Latif himself, he said that India would be better off if Virat Kohli was the captain. What do you guys think about him? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think India could have done anything different? You can let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Don't forget to download the SportsTak app, and if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos that we've done. But for now, from my side, it's goodbye.